So in the last video, I'd kind of basically set up the contract tests for the movie service, and I'd also kind of added a couple of kind of demonstration implementations of the movie service interface. One that just relied on basically hard-coded data, and one that actually had an array of movies there. So what I'm going to do is go back to. I'm going to rename that to movie service contract.spec.ts. I'm going to refactor that. That movie service has just got the interface in it. So in here, what I'm going to do is create another file called movie service.spec.ts. And in this, I'm actually going to I'm going to call the contract tests. I'm going to export that. And I'm going to delete the array movie service that I created effectively just for the purposes of demoing that you can have multiple services and meet the contract. I'm going to get rid of the references from there. I'm actually going to lift this implementation out of here and put that into here. And I'm going to take that out of there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that from in here and say, what's the name of the client? New dumb movie service. And then I'm also going to put in here, let's do that. So we've got the contract tests here, contract tests, and then we're going to have some of the other tests, here. So we're going to put, this is going to be the, what is this? This is our movie service. I can change that to just actually make that movie service now. If we need to call other things, we can do. So there we can put movie service. We can put context there. What are we going to put as the context? I kind of feel at the moment that I want to at the moment I feel like I want to worry about get movie rather than add vote at the moment. So with get movie, I want to put context get movie 1, 2, 3 and put it should retrieve details for movie. Ultimately, I think the interesting thing we need to do here is get the connection to the movie database in there. But I'm going to do that in a second. So we can say something along the lines of expect. So we can do the expect service dot get movie 1, 2, 3, 3, 4 to deep equal, and that's going to then be returning something like that. Create that variable equals new movie service, and we can see now if that tests. So it differs. It's a promise. So let's put an await in there. Let's put an async just there. Now it passes. Movie service, movie service. Let's just rename that to contract test. Movie service. Describe movie service contract tests. Cool. Okay. So now I could put an expectation on here because we want it to be getting that TMDB rating from the movie database. We could do, and this is kind of going to be repeating the same thing that we did in one of the previous videos when I was doing everything all in line. So we can put here expect the movie database dot get movie. Actually, what would we? Yeah, let's call it get movie details perhaps, because I think that's what the API is called. To have been called once with, and we said, and there was this would need a some sort of ID to reference the movie database. So let's call that 2345. So that'll tell us that doesn't exist, so we can create that. And we can make that equal to, again, we can make that to a TMDB interface. Doesn't exist, so we can create that interface. We can create that method. We can change that to number, and we can maybe change that to TMDB movie. Let's create that as an interface. We're just going to make it into a type. That's going to be equals, and it's going to have an ID, which is going to be a number, and it's going to have a what was that? 2 seconds. Yeah, so if we look on the movie database API, we can see that it's vote average was the one we're interested in. So that will come back and put that in there, and that's going to also be a number. So that's complaining that that's not that the thing we're trying to call there is not a spy. So here we can say get movie details. Get movie details. No, that's not what I want, is it? I want tmdb.getMovieDetail. There we go. Equals synon dot start dot with args 2345 dot resolves. And what I'll do before we do anything there, let me just import synon, and here we will type this. So this is going to be ID, which is a number, and that is going to return a promise of TMDB movie. So missing properties ID and voter average. So we can put that there. We can go ID 2345 and vote average equals 7.2. So hopefully that. Why is that? It possibly doesn't like it because this is not set up as a promise. And that should really be, for the purpose of this, we should kind of make that undefined. Or undefined. That should be that, or undefined. So we're saying there that it expected to have been called exactly once with arguments 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not been called. We can't call it yet because it's not passed in. What we can do is take that and move that above there, and we can pass that in TMDB. We can create that constructor in there, which brings in that, which is good. We can make that private so that it is usable by us. And now we can say, if in here we can say, I guess in reality we're going to have to kind of rectify this content anyway, but we can put const tmdb movie equals await this dot tmdb dot get movie details 2345, and that might be enough. What's it complaining about? Expected one argument, we've got 0. Movie service specs. What is not like our where is it? Movie service spec.ts. In here. So I might have to have a think about this. So obviously we need to set the thing up so that this comes back correct. How have we set up the contract tests? So I've made a mistake here. I've made a mistake with this. We've got a in the contract. So I've got details here that are magic details in the test that are not defined. There's no way for us to know now, looking at this, where did these details come from? Why would that movie 5678 return back that? It's only going to return that if we're passing details in to the service at the start. So rather than posting that service in, we really need to add the ability to create an instance of the movie service. Okay, that's an interesting one. I have to give a bit more thought to that one. And how we do that. That's okay. We can come back to that. So here we can just put, for the time being, perhaps a TMDB movie interface. If we do that, that's going to fail at some point, presumably. This TM get movie details is not a function, and that's just here. Yes, it's been called from the contract spec, so we can movie service spec. If we comment that out for the moment, we'll come back to that one. So that's passing now because it's returning. So it's expecting that to be returned. That's returning 7.2, so we should really expect that to be returned just here. That's now coming back wrong because it's bringing back 6.4 because that is hard coded into there as 6.4. So we could put that in there. We could just go and put that in there as 7.2. We could repeat that down here again, just to force us to change things. But 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can expect that to have been called. That's going to be the BDD movie. It's got votes for, and it's going to have a TMDB rating of 7.3, and that's going to have been called with 6789. So now we have to deal with the fact that now we're going to have to deal with the fact that our data is kind of hard coded, which we shouldn't really have. And also the fact that our rating is wrong. So I mean, we could just correct that rating and make it equal to 7.3. That would work, probably, guessing. Oh no, no, because we are kind of calling that with 2, 3, 4, 5 there. So what I can do here, I could just kind of move that into inside the if statement and put another one there. I may as well. So we could say, look, we could do that, and we could do that, and we could expect that to be 6, 7, 8, 9. But we've got, so it's working, but we've got duplication, so we should now try and resolve that duplication. And we can do that by moving the, let's leave that where it is, let's move const movies equals, and then we'll move that data into the array, put that in there, put that data into there, and we can then say const maybe movie equals movies dot find movie dot id equals, what's this passing? This movie ID probably being passed in, isn't it? Movie ID, and we can then say return passing green again, but we want to move that out of there. And actually that, what we really need there, TMDB movie ID. So we don't have, so what we really want is a maybe movie dot TMD movie ID. And that doesn't exist on our model yet, so let's go and fix that. In fact, we don't. Do we want the? I'm going to add that in there. Am I going to add that? How am I going to? What am I going to do with that? Yeah, let's go with that. Let's just do that for the moment. Should we call it? Let's just call it TMDB ID. Of course, that should be an array of movies. What's going on there? Should be an array of movies. That's now going to fail because that's not there. That's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9. That's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. That might not exist, so we'll have to say if not maybe, or if maybe movie equals undefined, then return. That's probably what we want to do there. That works fine. Then we should be able to get rid of that, and get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. That we can get rid of that rating. there. So actually what we want is kind of two separate what we really want there is perhaps two separate movies, which is movie DB. Let's call that base movie for the moment, and we'll get rid of TMDB rating and TMDB ID. Movie DB record, and we'll get rid of the TMDB rating out of there, and then movie will extend. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. That will be base movie and that, and then this will be base movie and that. So effectively that's going to be, that will have all of the base fields and the TMDB rating. That's going to be all of the base fields and the TMDB ID. So in here what I'm going to do is make that and now I can do something along the lines of ID, movie ID, name, movie.name, votes, maybe movie.votes, TMDB rating, TMDB movie.vote average. So I guess we're going to need to make this, we will need to make that movie TMDB rating optional in case we don't have a TMDB rating there. Is that what we need? 3 plus that, yeah, perfect, okay. Let's try that. We're back, that all appears to be still working. No, there we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, what's the difference? 7.2, 7.3, okay. Where is that 7.3 coming from? Of course, 7.2, 7.2, 7.2, 7.3, so that's good. So we change that, that works. So we've now got, that's back passing again, but we still have this data described in here. We probably want to move that outside of our outside of this class and make this some sort of kind of repository for this data. So at this point I would probably want to refactor this and say, instead of this getting the data as an array in here, that we pass in some sort of data repository for our own movie details. And that will require me to then create another stub for this that we pass in. So we might call this something like, in fact, put it there, let's put it down here, set the expectation first. Expect movie db dot get movie to have been called once with 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do that. We can create that. We can make that equal to a movie DB interface. We can create that interface. We can create that movie. That's going to have an ID, which is going to be, let's make that movie ID. It's going to be a number, and that's going to return a promise of movie DB record. All good so far. Undefined is not spy. So we can now make that a spy by going moviedb.getMovie equals synon.stub.with args 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to resolve. And I think it's going to resolve as one of these records. So it's going to be that one. And we can type that by saying movie ID number promise movie DB record. In fact, that's going to be all undefined. Let's just make sure that is defined up here in our interface, wherever that's gone. Joined by small cat. Expected that to have been called with an argument, which it hasn't. Let's move that higher up. Move that to there. And let's inject that into, put that in first actually, because that's going to probably be our most important thing. We can add that. Can we add that? Change the signature. So we could do that. Refactor that. Let's comment this test out whilst we're getting that one working. So that's complaining that it hasn't been called. Go into our movie service up here and say const maybe movie equals await movie this dot movie db dot get movie movie ID. Now that passes, so that works quite well, which means we can get rid of all of that. If we come down to here, we should now be able to put that back in. That's going to fail because we haven't actually got anything to pass into it. But we can copy that expectation, move that up one actually, because again it's our probably the main one for a start off. We can take that, let's cut that from there and actually put it above the TMDB one, and let's also put it above that one. And there we're going to say that expects to be called with 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's going to return 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's going to return the BDD movie. It's got 4 votes, and its thing is 5, 6, 7, and let's just make that make wrong. So once 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that should be set to 5, 6, 7. Not 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. So now that's passing as well. So that all works quite well. We can perhaps move some of these things out to their own files. We can move, let's move that up a bit, and let's also move that to its own, let's move that to its own file, movie DB. That's fine. And now we've got movie service. I'm going to commit those changes on the basis that that's what's working. I've got to come back and look at the contract tests because something's not right about the way the contract test set up. Design of movie service. Cool, that's probably enough for one video, I think.